She sold more than 50 million records in a career that began in the 1970s and permanently changed what it meant to be a woman in rock and roll. Long before the industry was ready, she stepped forward, rewrote the rules, and refused to move aside. Her name is Suzi Quatro, and for decades, one unforgettable song has followed her like an echo through time. Stumbling In. The chemistry felt real, the emotion undeniable, and the rumors never truly disappeared. Now, at 75, Suzi Quatro has finally spoken with clarity and calm about Chris Norman, revealing what their connection truly was, and just as importantly, what it never became. This is not a story of scandal. It is a story of timing, respect, boundaries, and a musical moment that still lives on. Suzi Quatro was born Susan K. Quatro on June 3, 1950, in Detroit, Michigan, a city where music was woven into daily life. In Detroit, sound wasn't background noise, it was identity. From an early age, rhythm came naturally to her. What began as curiosity quickly revealed itself as instinct. Music didn't feel learned, it felt lived. Long before fame, there was already a sense that this was not a hobby, but a calling that would eventually carry her far beyond her hometown. At a time when women in popular music were expected to stand still behind microphones, Suzi chose a different path. She picked up a bass guitar, stepped into leather, and walked directly into a male-dominated world without asking permission. She didn't soften herself to fit expectations. She didn't wait her turn. In doing so, she didn't just build a career, she created a blueprint. Confidence like that wasn't accidental. It was rooted in her upbringing. Suzi grew up in a deeply musical household. Her father, Art Quatro, was a musician, and music filled the home constantly. Instruments were everywhere, creativity was encouraged, and expression was normal. She learned early that her voice mattered. By her teenage years, belief turned into action. Alongside her sisters, she formed an all-girl garage rock band called the Pleasure Seekers. In an era when female instrumentalists were rarely taken seriously, the band stood out simply by existing. Suzi played bass, shared vocals, and commanded the stage with a presence far beyond her age. Even then, the foundation of her fearless style was firmly in place. Everything changed in the early 1970s. Suzi was discovered by British producer Mickey Most, a man known for recognizing raw talent before the rest of the world caught on. He didn't just see a singer. He saw fire. He saw rebellion. With one bold decision, Suzi packed her life and moved to the United Kingdom, taking a massive risk that would redefine her destiny. While American audiences hesitated to embrace women as rock musicians, Britain welcomed her instantly. The impact was explosive. In 1973, Can raced to #1 on the UK charts and sold millions worldwide. It wasn't just a hit. It was a statement. Suzi Quatro wasn't a novelty. She was a force. Hit after hit followed. 48 Crash, Devil Gate Drive, The Wild One. Each driven by pounding bass lines, fearless vocals, and an attitude that refused to be diluted. On stage, in her leather jumpsuit, she didn't perform as a guest in a man's world. She owned it. Her success extended beyond music. In the mid-1970s, she became instantly recognizable to American audiences as Leather Tuscadero on Happy Days. The role gave her visibility without costing her credibility. She didn't abandon rock and roll. She brought its edge with her. It only deepened her influence. Her greatest legacy, however, isn't measured in chart positions or television ratings. It lives in the artists she inspired. Joan Jett, Chrissie Hynde, Debbie Harry, and many others have all said the same thing. Seeing Suzi Quatro made them believe it was possible. She never tried to be a role model. She simply refused to step aside. And by standing front and center with a bass guitar, she permanently altered the landscape of rock music. As the years passed, Suzi Quatro never slowed down. While others faded quietly, she kept touring, recording, and electrifying audiences. Albums like Back to the Drive and No Control weren't nostalgic reflections. They were living proof that her creative fire was still burning. Her voice retained its grit. Her stage presence remained commanding. She also found a new way to connect with fans through radio. On BBC Radio 2, she brought her unmistakable personality to the airwaves, sharing not just songs, but stories shaped by decades inside the industry. Rocking with Suzi Q became a celebration of rock history, followed by Wake Up Little Suzi. Listeners didn't just hear music. They heard experience, memory, and genuine love for the art. Behind the scenes, her personal life unfolded alongside her career. In 1976, she married her guitarist and musical partner, Len Tuckey. Together, they built a family while navigating constant touring and public life. Balancing motherhood and stardom wasn't easy, but Suzi approached it with determination. After 16 years, the marriage ended in 1992, marking the close of a deeply personal chapter. Still, she remained anchored to her family and home, choosing stability over spectacle. In 1993, she married German concert promoter Rainer Haas, finding companionship with someone who understood the rhythm of her world. Life continued to evolve, bringing joy, quiet moments, and later, the emotional shift of letting go when her children moved on. Change became part of her journey, not something to resist. Through it all, one collaboration remained wrapped in mystery for fans. Stumblin' In. Released in 1978, her duet with Chris Norman of Smokey became a worldwide hit. Their voices blended effortlessly, and the warmth between them felt undeniable. For years, people speculated about what existed between them beyond the studio. Now, with time and perspective, Suzi has spoken openly. She describes Chris Norman as one of the easiest and most genuine people she ever worked with. In an industry full of ego, there was none between them. No competition, no tension, just music. When producer Mike Chapman brought them together, neither expected much. They assumed it might be a modest success at best. Instead, the song climbed to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became timeless. What stayed with Suzi was not the chart success, but the experience, the mutual respect, the comfort, the honesty. Chris was kind, grounded, and humble. Sharing the spotlight felt natural. They weren't trying to outdo each other. They were creating something together. Speculation about romance never faded, but Suzi has been clear. Their bond was real, meaningful, and deeply rooted in friendship and music. Both were married at the time, and boundaries were respected completely. What they shared was trust and understanding, the rare kind that allows something beautiful to happen without complication. Looking back, Suzi sees Stumblin' In not just as a hit song, but as a defining moment. It revealed another side of her, softer, more open, yet still strong. For many, she will always be the leather-clad rocker with a bass guitar. For millions of others, she will forever be the voice from that duet. And she embraces that. Even decades later, the connection remains. She and Chris stayed friends, crossing paths through interviews and celebrations tied to the song. When they meet, time seems to fall away. The laughter returns. The ease remains. Some bonds, she says, are simply immune to time.